that, a review committee will look at all the projects that apply and kind of decide what projects rank higher than that target area.
You know what I was asking? I was asking who's going to be the deciders of that? That will be the county, you, not the village.
Right, but there's going to be a committee that forms and decides that, so it won't specifically be us making that decision.
So we need a motion for that?
Yeah.
Make a motion.
A second.
Any discussion about that?
Main Street, I mean, what are you talking about?
New York Main Street, that's the name of the program.
I know, but what areas?
It's the target area of North Avenue that, I don't know if they've had that map.
Yeah.
It's the one block between Main Street and Temple Street.
Yes.
That's what we applied for before. It's called the Main Street grant, but it's for that one block.
All right.
All right, so vote for the motion to approve the resolution?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
This one? I agree for me. So we have another resolution from this Nate, because I thought it could be Nate Brittany. This is for 90 Temple Street, the police station. It's not
This is the letter from Crawford and Stearns kind of outlining the, I'll call it the scope of work for this thing. Just all the various things that Crawford and Stearns has recommended, which I believe is the basis for the grant application that's being made. Ordinarily, I wouldn't do such a fancy type 2 seeker resolution because type 2 seeker resolutions ordinarily don't require very much, but for purposes of the grant application, it's helpful to give them a nice written resolution showing that seeker was considered. So that's why we have this prepared resolution this evening.
This is for the grant on the police station.
So do we need to do a secret before we take that in this resolution?
Well, the resolution is the seeker resolution.
There's a secret. Gotcha.
Yeah, that's what it says. The village is the lead agency, and the action does not exceed the thresholds. And the board hereby determines that the proposed action is a type 2 action, and no further review of the proposed action is required under secret.
So we need a motion for the adoption of this?
Right.
So,
Second?
Any sort of discussion?
Now, is there a match to this grant?
Yes.
You want to talk about that?
Yeah, we're still working through the budget numbers with Jeff and Randy Crawford and the estimator. And the construction budget, I believe, came in, I'm blanking, it was like 500 something,
I think it was like call it 570. It was a little under that, but
Yeah,
570.
so there is a 25% match requirement. That 570 will probably go up a little because you have to include soft costs and administration fees. Becca Maffei submitted a grant to the Mildred Barton Truman Foundation and then also to Tiger Downs to try to get some matching funds to help with the match requirements. So we're still working through the budget and that piece of it.
I would encourage you to apply to the Fannie Hyde Fund also.
Okay, yeah. I'll write that down.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. Any questions about it? Discussion?
Well, do we need to say in our proposal here that the 25% match would come from other grants in the community?
No need
No, we've already approved them applying for the grants.
We need to try to get them from them, but we don't have to say that.
And this is just for
This is for seekers.
the seeker, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
And then Fran also, because it's a grant, at the time it's awarded, if you say, well, we don't have the ability to match, then you can always decline the grant.
Okay.
How long will it take for this whole process to go through before any work is actually started on the police station?
The application is due at the end of July with the other CFA applications. They're typically announced in December, so the work couldn't start before then.
So, Charles, so if you got awarded the grant in December, then you would hire the architect or the engineer to do all the project documents, and maybe you'd be lucky to start construction like October next year.
Not this year, next year.
I can't remember, is it a reimbursement?
It's a reimbursement
Yeah,
grant.
by that time, it probably won't be a building standard. I was hoping there's something, I mean, we really need something done. I mean, I know we can't do it all, but we gotta get something done.
I can check. Sometimes they
So,
allow
Chuck-
some prior work.
I was gonna say, if we do work on a building, does that count for the match somehow?
I can double check. I think,
I know some it can, some it can't.
yeah, I'll double check and see if if you get started on some of the work, if that can still be used as towards your match.
So, point well taken, Charles. Obviously, we'd like to do everything sooner than later, but we also need to apply for this anyway, so we can get something sooner than for us.
Yeah, this just makes us eligible.
So any more discussion about the seeker? We'll take a vote to pass the resolution for the seeker.
Yes.
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 Yes. All right.
Thank you, guys.
So, we changed up the agenda a little in hopes to get some of the department heads. So our first one is department head reports. So, Rob?
Well, as you all know, we had a rough call a little bit ago that our providers had to go through. Counseling's been offered and pretty much provided by calling me at all hours of the night, which I don't care. So far, everybody's going through well. I told you the last meeting that I'd let you know how many calls. So for last month, we had 128 calls. And only 7 of those calls were mutual aided out as second and third due calls. So, awesome sauce. Also, our station is now a drug, it's gonna be, let's try to phrase this good, drug drop-off. There is a packet that's available that we have upstairs that the daytime staff is gonna be helping people with. If they've got drugs that they can't get rid of, they can put it in this pouch, 45 pills, 6 patches, or 6 ounces of fluid. You add the water and it makes it so that that drug can be disposed of safely and not have to go through these big collections. The biggest one that we hear about and know about is morphine for people that are on hospice. They get these big bottles and nobody takes them. So at least this way now we have something that, you know, if they've got 6 ounces, we may have to help them measure it out to get it to where it's acceptable to get rid of. But I thought it was a good idea when it was asked if we could do it, and I said, of course. We're going to be setting up a time because, and it has to be pending, because if both of our providers are out, you know, quite obviously they can't provide the product. But so there's a smaller packet as well, but it's put on the door downstairs, so anybody walking by goes, I got some, you know, at least they can drop it off. Okay.
It's kind of like an amnesty thing.
So where do the drugs go to after you collect them? Flush. Makes it flushable, so it's not toxic.
Because the police station has a similar thing, but that's only like solid pills. And they have like a bucket there from CVS, and you dump your stuff in there. I took a whole bag of medications there, put them in the bucket, and then CVS comes and gets them. This one can't put liquids in, so.
No, or patches for that matter.
Yeah.
And we're talking like, you know, nitro patches and stuff.
Well, this way it's disposed of right on the spot, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dissolved.
Or you can give them the you give them the directions, they can put it in and go home and flush it down their toy when they get done with the the back end.
I hope CPS is that sorting through and reselling it.
I didn't want to think about that.
Oh, wonder.
Hail from Manhattan.
Just tell me you don't know the times of that, okay? Okay, 2034 is our beast that we're trying to keep on the road here and do as much as we can to keep it going, but it was brought to our attention that the wires were showing on the tire, the one tire. Obviously not a safe issue, but trying to save money as used tire was placed on there in the meantime. We're gonna be watching because if it really starts to bear on that side, then we may have a bigger issue coming down the pike and then it'll be auction block, here you come, as far as I'm concerned anyway. 3-3 that's supposed to be getting traded in is parked out back. I know your poor woman over here, I kept calling her, telling her we're gonna bring it and then nobody showed up. We had to, this weekend, as a matter of fact, the things that were supposed to be taken off, like the antenna and stuff like that, have now been removed so that they can be used on the other. Also, the front suspension and tires, we're going to have it checked for that reason. That's going on the 18th. And on the 17th, once again, Royal gets to visit 2032, which is the one that's was hit by another vehicle there. There's still parts on back order, but when we brought it home, actually, I say home, to the station, one of the engine lights came on, and of course, as we all know from Mr. Morrissey, not gonna be a deal. Royal seems to think that because of all manipulation and things that were done to the hoses and whatnot, that it's probably a sensor for the turbo. Something simple. But we won't know that until the 17th, which is when it goes into play tomorrow. What's tomorrow?
Today.
Okay, so switch those dates. Okay. But anyway, so they're gonna see if that, it may be just over there. We haven't, they were supposed to drop it off. So when they get a chance, I'll look at it. But anyway, that's where that's at. Strawberry Fest, interesting. Some people said, how come we didn't have an ambulance in the parade? Well, quite frankly, all we had was 2. And if we got one bottlenecked inside of the parade, then we're screwed. As it so happened, a child was injured in front of the Elks, and of course I had to go against the flow of the parade, which I hate doing, but we had to. And after he was taken care of, we just kind of zipped the gator around, and I said, oh, now we're part of the parade, we put the red lights on and made it so good. So EMS was there. We were haphazardly there, but we were there. But it was a perfect day for it. We didn't have dehydration. I've done it for so many years with that gator. I know about what time to start wandering out because of the elderly. Elderly get going, and all of a sudden, energy's gone. They can't go any further, and we can take them to their vehicles and stuff. And about 2 o'clock, that's when we went out, and we had quite a few. And Mr. Uber didn't get that business. So, but we only had basically the one call for a special needs child, so that was good. But very smooth. We saw a lot more people coming in from our way from the station, and whoever hired Wonder Woman and Captain America, that was quite interesting. I thought it was, I didn't realize it was a hired thing for the, because we see such interesting people out there. Yeah, so I wasn't sure that I didn't realize until later when I saw Spider-Man directing traffic that it was actually part of it. Okay. We did ask for a bullhorn from the fire department because unfortunately Maine's Gator didn't have it. The siren wasn't working, go figure. And so then the search went out for anything that made noise because people just won't move. So we ended up finally, after calling everything in town, there was those tiny little air horn cans.
Yeah.
next to Tops there, Family Dollar, I don't know what that one is there, but anyway. So I sent him a 20 bucks, thinking, well, that's gotta be enough for 4. How about cruded myself with $32 for 4 little things of there, but now we have something for the gator next time, so we'll just keep it from year to year to get people to move, but just for your record, it's expected to buy nothing. Okay, we had a CPR training, and Fran was there and participated. That was nice. On Sunday, and we had that. Prior to that, we also had tags being made for county EMS personnel, and I was really shocked at how many showed up because when Maine did it, I think there was like 4 people that showed up, and it was just an entourage of people continually coming in on Sunday. And then after that, we had the regular meeting, so it was quite a long weekend and long day to get that stuff all done. But even, people from Campbell came down, good. Keeping the good connection with our friendly neighbors. Even though they had to leave for a call. The other thing that we had at our membership meeting was that the members of the OVES, the Unincorporated Association, and the Owego Emergency Squad, Inc., which is a charitable, tax-exempt, not-for-profit New York State corporation, voted to merge. But we know that there has to be probably have a resolution for that as well. But as a 501c3 entity, the OES Inc. may apply for grants in support of the village EMS department's mission, but which are not eligible for award to the municipality. As a 401c3 entity, the OES Inc. may receive donations that are tax deductible. Thus, donations are encouraged. Such donations may be applied to actions which support the EMS department's mission. As a membership corporation, the OES Inc. reduces the liability risk of its members. As a corporation, the OES Inc. may enter into contracts benefiting the village EMS department's mission without the encumbrance of municipal law regulating the lettering of contracts. As a non-for-profit charitable corporation, the OES Inc. is obligated to maintain records and report financial activities, as we have in the past with the other way we were previously doing, thus providing transparency regarding its activities. So we're assuming that has to be something that has to obviously be before you guys, so that is what I am doing.
So, as I recall, I think the board has recognized the Unincorporated Association as the source of volunteers for the Emergency Medical Services Department. So, I think insofar as there's a new resolution to recognize the merged entity as the OES Inc. as the source of volunteers. But, again, just to reiterate, I know we've had a lot of conversation about it. I believe the idea still is that the operational side of it is the village. You, Robin, as the department head, are responsible to the village, and then the OES Inc. would be the house of the non-operational volunteer stuff, which you've just described as well. And that would still be, I think, the idea.
Such as when the fire department does benefits, chicken barbecues, things like that. This is going to be the same thing, just on EMI.
What about applying for grants? So do we have discussion of that on the board? Probably.
Don't make me read all that again.
Is that the same way that the fire department works? Their host teams, are they the same officers and so on?
No, the host team is totally separate. It's the way the fire department is supposed to work. They mix. There's a mixture of what's the village and what's the corporation. Where I think this would be far more clear. The the way we have it set up right now. Because the resolutions we have say that the operational aspects are controlled by the village and the member aspects are controlled by whatever group. Right now it's this unincorporated group of volunteers. Could
Well,
be
that
this
would
corporation.
remain the same, right?
Yeah, that'll always stay the same.
Right.
It's just who we have as the volunteer group and how they organize themselves later is the difference. Right now, they're an unincorporated group of people. The proposal is that they be an incorporated group of people with their own board of directors and their own, I guess, chain of command inside themselves.
Well, it's just a nonprofit entity, like any nonprofit. The board has its members, they do stuff.
Doesn't have to be the officers of the squad. Their board could be completely different. The fire departments could be too, if they wanted to. They're just coincidentally not.
Well, I would recommend the board accept this merger.
So you're gonna have a motion?
Yes, I'm making a motion. I make a motion that.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Okay.
Mayor, just, I think to be clear, I think the way maybe to,
Have to be a resolution maybe?
well, and I think it's not really necessarily recognizing or authorizing the merger, but instead recognizing the OES Inc. as the source of volunteers. Because, I don't believe, my understanding anyway, we're not,
yeah.
the village is not
They can make their own
overseeing and, directing the nonprofit to do anything in particular. It's just recognizing the source of volunteers. Again, because we're keeping the non-operational aspects separated from the operational stuff.
We get stopped from making a corporation.
I printed it off.
Right, you know I have things to say about this.
Well, give it to Rod.
Definitely. I have things to say about this. I expressed my concern over the last, for years, but I expressed my immediate concern about establishing a model similar to the fire department model where there's a group that's totally independent, that we have no say over whatsoever, that's a quasi together with a group that we do. That's why I'm concerned about that. I don't like that fire department model, so I'm not real happy about establishing a new one like that. Although, as the way Nate says it now, so instead of us approving a merger, there won't be a merger. There will be, there is no merger because we don't approve a merger. That doesn't exist. There will be the operational side that we take care of. If there's which the incorporated side already exists. So they can continue to exist, they can continue to do the things they want to do.
Yeah, and I mean, however they've done it, it's a merger or not a merger, however they phrase it, well, I think all that the village board would be asked is to recognize OES Inc. as the source of volunteers for the emergency medical services fund.
Now, as Fran quite well knows, at the NICOM meeting, there can be a problem for soliciting funds.
And that's one good reason to have a nonprofit that's really not overseen by the village.
Yeah.
Because the village should not be doing fundraising.
Yeah,
So
well, my only concern too is that it's very clear to the community that this is not the emergency squad, it is separate.
Right, it's not the emergency medical services department.
Right.
It is
Members of the emergency squad.
it's the people who are volunteering. And it's just, and that's important insofar as communications from OES Inc. go out to the public.
Right.
They should be identifying themselves as as who they are properly and that they're not the EMS department.
Correct. Which is someplace that we've been in a gray area before.
Yeah.
Well, we did it with other agencies where the volunteers were, you want to say control, but responsible for gathering the funds needed for basically volunteer issues. I'm going to use hair scrambles as an example. The money that came in for the volunteers providing EMS for hair scrambles, the money from those, because it was run by the volunteers, there was no paid staff, it was all volunteer, that money went into a volunteer membership fund, basically. Not an account, a fund. And then whatever you needed to purchase for the certain number of hair scrambles that came out, and the rest has kind of sat in there, and it became the membership's decision. Do you want uniforms for that? Do you want, what is it that you want from it as members, volunteers? It wasn't anything that, because I was in charge of that too. And I didn't tell them what they were gonna get. They had, do they wanna get uniforms? Do they wanna get whatever? Things that, like now the big thing is everybody wants a green light because you can't run a blue light. I mean, things like that is what it, the purpose. It's not a purpose of, let's line our pockets. It's what the volunteers can use.
What's a hairspray?
Oh my God. If you've never experienced one, okay, it's off-road dirt bikes, quads, there's hundreds of them that take off in one race. It's a nightmare. And we just had one Sunday, right after the Strawberry Fest, so I'm pretty much...
It sounds like something you might need the EMS for.
Yeah. Oh, it is, and they have to, just like anything with a
Oh,
group
you're
of
saying they
people.
worked it for that?
Huh?
You're saying that you worked that, like, for money, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I get you.
Oh, God, yeah. Yeah.
You guys work.
Back to the point, the concern isn't that the EMS is going to get money and line their pockets. That's not the deal. The deal is the corporation should be soliciting funds for the membership, for things for the membership. They should, and we need a good division there so that the people who are being solicited know that they're not giving funds to the squad of the village that's going to do their
Well, I think we have the intelligence enough to write a letter when we do that, or however we phrase it, that you can decipher that for the public.
You may think that, but that's not what we've done for the last 20 years. We didn't have the intelligence enough to make the public aware of where that money was being donated to. So that's nice that you think that we're going to now do that better, but we didn't do it for the last 20 years in the ways that we solicited those funds.
Well, let's look at the reality of the world now. We have better communication out here in the world, anyway. So
anyway, my point simply is that's a good separation there, and the corporation certainly will be able to solicit funds for the use of the members of the corporation.
Definitely.
But we're still understanding that separation piece.
Yes.
So what are we going to be voting? We're not voting for a merger, we're voting to recognize.
To recognize OES Inc. as the source of volunteers for the EMS department.
Instead of the unincorporated.
So Fran, just so he's clarified, he's suggesting that be the motion, that we recognize the incorporation as the source of membership, rather than whatever words we used before of approving it.
So you agree with that?
But
yes.
No, just, okay.
With the second adjustment.
Okay. So do we have any more discussion about this corporation deal? Shall we vote on this? Fran?
Yes.
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 No.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Do we want to do,
Yeah, 2 new members.
okay, let's do the numbers.
I think she's talking
Are those
about,
for the fire department or
you're
the
talking about fire department members or squad members?
fire department ones are on the agenda?
Fran, are you talking about blue squad members?
Okay, excuse me, yes, I'm wrong.
I was like, wait, you find somebody I know.
Excuse me.
So another squad thing that I have, I have this paperwork that I have to fill in for MedX so that we can bill. There's a whole bunch of questions here that we probably ought to answer as a board with input from Robin, because I'm not going to answer them. So one form talks about how many bills we should send people. That's the first form, and there's different scenarios. as to why you would get more than one bill. So, they want us to fill this form in so they know how to bill people. So the first one is, no, the copy machine.
We run off copies
Yeah.
for maybe the trustees so they can follow along maybe a little easier.
Yeah.
So I know Rusty will not really read it.
Yeah, so it will be much easier to get the form. I didn't think to make copies. So that's the first paper. The second paper is contact information, which I mostly filled out, but I don't know who you want as contact for PCR issues. Is that you? There's a primary and secondary.
Well, I would imagine it'd be the captain and the co-captain going through that.
You and then probably Paul. PCR is patient care report. See, I paid attention, I went to the training.
Why? You did.
Mr. Mayor, can I interrupt for a moment? Get back to this. I don't know if anybody in the audience cares about it or not, but there is a vigil at 8 o'clock tonight at St. Patrick's Cemetery, and there's going to be a whole lot of people there. So if someone wants to be involved in that vigil, I want them to know that it's now and going for the next, who knows, how long hour or so.
What is the vigil?
This is a vigil for the little girl that was drowned in the pond out behind St. Patrick's Cemetery. The state police said that they could not respond to it for some reason. The sheriff didn't seem, I don't know if the sheriff was interested. We have sent one of our patrol cars there, even though it's out of the village, to help with this vigil, and we've sent our fire police there to take care of this. They're both out of the village, but still, that's just something we felt. Okay, back to it.
Okay, so the easy question we'll put, so on the other form, it's just contact information. So we'll put Rob and
One of your things with prices, I'm getting that from Maine right now, so.
And yes, the last form that we need to fill in is our actual billing rates. And we have to get these forms back to MedX before we can bill. So Friday, we had to register for this MPI number, which I did online. So we have the MPI number, and once we get this form back to MedX, we can start
Secretary,
going through all the motions, getting all the other.
Thanks, Jeff.
Even staple them together.
Yeah.
another copy
Wow,
of the rest.
I don't think that's gonna be good
For Rodney, too.
Alright, so on the first page, this is who gets what bill. So a late bill, I think that everybody should get a late bill, because it's just a bill that says you're late.
That's right, so that, as I'm reading this, so our decision here is just whether we're gonna give that to a resident, a non-resident, or everybody.
Right.
Okay.
For each
You
one.
can't do it for the town.
Excuse me, will that late bill that happen after the MedX puts in for the reimbursement? with the
Yes,
insurance?
so obviously they'll bill, and then they'll bill the insurance company, and then if you didn't pay the bill, they would send you a late bill.
Okay.
And so after the late bill, there's a final notice, and this is sent to patients that have received payment from their insurance company and have not forwarded the payment to the village. And if we choose this option, we must also choose collections for this scenario. So there is one scenario where I was talking to the MedX rep where the insurance company, after we submit the bill to the insurance company will send a check. For me, it always happened like with dental insurance. They'll send a check to you, and then you're supposed to pay the bill. So this final notice is if they've gotten the check and they haven't paid us. So I guess all patients have that. I don't know if it was okay with that or not.
I got a question with the late bill. What do we do for people we can't bill? How does that affect them?
That's moved, they won't have gotten it yet, so they can't get a late bill because they won't have a bill at all.
Okay.
So the next question is collections for those same people that have received the payment from the insurance company. And they say it's highly recommended. I picked all, and the reason it's highly recommended is they could be committing insurance fraud by keeping the payments.
So this is not us chasing somebody that didn't pay a bill, this is chasing somebody that got money from the insurance, and it's keeping it and won't pay us, which we absolutely want to chase.
What percentage of people will actually get the payment sent to them?
They didn't know, they said there's a couple of insurance companies that would like to do that. The private insurance companies, like, I forget which one she named.
Okay.
So that makes sense, especially not all on that.
Car insurance company would do that too. If you think about how you get your car fixed, that's kind of sort of how it works. And then, so there's the next section is a final notice, and this is for payments who have not received any insurance payments. So we've submitted the bill, and their insurance didn't pay, so it's whether or not we're going to go after those people. And the options are none, resident, non-resident, or all.
So Mayor, if I can, my recommendation on all of these would be to bill everybody the amounts that you're supposed to. When municipalities provide services to people, then you should be attempting to collect the charges for those things. And that would include making reasonable attempts to try and collect on them. That would
Without discrimination as to
resident, non-resident, shouldn't matter. If they were provided the service, they should pay for that service.
I think that's the way we should go with that.
Okay, so we should change it to all.
So a quick question about that, Nate. Since Medix has given us this form here about the ways it can be done, it implies that legally you don't have to do it that way.
I'm going to guess that this form was probably generated and sent to all of their clients, whether municipals or nonprofit EMS agencies. And a nonprofit agency, which is not a municipality, could